Lloyd, a white mage, is abruptly kicked out of the hero's adventuring party. Long before that, he lived with his master, Marlin, who found him standing in a field completely destroyed by battle. She took him in and began teaching him magic. Lloyd quickly showed promise when he managed to cast his first fire spell. Marlin was briefly impressed, then immediately told him it wasn't good enough, and that he still had a long way to go. From that point on, Lloyd continued learning new spells like water magic and others, but every time he succeeded, Marlin shut down any chance of him getting confident and pushed him to work harder. She acknowledged his skill but believed he lacked raw power. Lloyd kept training, and one day Marlin was looking at a certain grimoire when she dropped it. Lloyd accidentally touched it and passed out, which confirmed to Marlin that he had the potential of a chosen one. Because of that, she secretly cast a spell on him to prevent him from ever becoming overconfident. Afterward, she began teaching him white magic so he could help others, while strongly discouraging him from learning ancient magic. A few days later, she took him to a forest and left him there, telling him to return safely if he wanted to pass her test. Lloyd soon discovered that the forest was filled with dangerous monsters, and survival became his top priority. Since white magic isn't meant for combat, he was forced to use it creatively, strengthening his body and avoiding monsters instead of fighting them head-on. Eventually, he managed to make it back, only to collapse at the gate from exhaustion. Marlin welcomed him back. Several years later, Lloyd had grown a bit. While doing chores one day, he found a book with a town illustrated on the cover and kept it for himself. He continued helping Marlin with her magical experiments, though he slowly became annoyed with her non-stop working habits. One day, without telling her anything, Lloyd left Marlin's house and headed for the city. Once there, Lloyd had no idea what to do next, until he happened to come across a recruitment flyer for the hero's party. Just like that, he joined an adventuring party led by the hero Alan. Using his support-focused white magic, Lloyd helped Alan's party complete quest after quest. Later, it was revealed that Lloyd joining the hero's party was no coincidence, as one of Marlin's former party members had manipulated things to prevent Lloyd from repeating the mistakes Marlin made in her youth. Marlin still regretted those mistakes, especially the battle with the demon lord, where her friend Sybil used ancient magic to revive the fallen at the cost of his own life. With Lloyd's support, Alan achieved one victory after another and became famous as the party climbed the ranks. However, Alan only gave Lloyd a small share of the rewards and was far too arrogant to realize that most of his success came from Lloyd's support. One day, news arrived that several knights had been killed by a golem, and Alan was requested to handle the situation. When they arrived, Lloyd suspected demons were involved and tried to guide the party on how to fight it properly. Alan ignored him, rushed in when the golem appeared, and nearly got himself killed before Lloyd saved him. Alan then finished off the golem. Afterward, back to present, Alan immediately took the chance to kick Lloyd out of the party. Because of the spell placed on him to suppress his confidence, Lloyd accepted this without complaint, believing he was useless and lacked skill. He left quietly and went to the Adventurers Guild to look for a new party. After 2 days of rejection, things were looking pretty bleak. Just then, a young female adventurer approached the receptionist looking for a white mage. Lloyd happened to be standing right there, and since her party desperately needed one, she hired him on the spot and practically dragged him out with her, marking the start of his next misadventure. Earlier, the girl was out on a quest with her party to capture a group of bandits. During that mission, it was revealed that all of them belonged to an S-rank adventuring party. While fighting, their white mage seemed unusually distracted, and after successfully capturing the bandits, it became clear why. She was worried about her sick younger sister, which had been weighing on her mind the entire time. In the present, the girl brings Lloyd to meet her party members. She introduces herself as Yui, the party leader, and Lloyd is then introduced to the rest of the team: Dagaz the shield bearer, Cross the archer, and Silica the mage, all of them S-rank adventurers. They are genuinely surprised that Yui actually managed to find someone, while Lloyd immediately starts worrying that he'll disappoint them because of his so-called lack of ability. Because of this, he tries to refuse Yui's offer, and the others comment that it's not easy to suddenly ask someone to join a party like that. Yui, however, refuses to back down and asks Lloyd to show his skills. Everyone assumes the test will be too difficult for him, but Lloyd is confused when Yui's test turns out to be something simple: casting enhancement magic. Not wanting to disappoint them, Lloyd goes ahead and casts the spell, casually applying 5 enhancement spells at once without even using an incantation. The party doesn't realize what he's done until Lloyd awkwardly points it out himself. Yui tests the enhancement by cutting down a tree with ease, which completely shocks everyone. While they're still stunned, Lloyd decides that this must be bad somehow and tries to leave, convinced he messed up. Yui and the others quickly stop him, completely baffled by his unnatural lack of confidence. After learning about his past with hero Alan, they're even more confused, concluding that Alan must be an absolute idiot to consider Lloyd a weak nuisance. When Lloyd asks about their previous white mage, they explain that she retired to take care of her sick sister. Her name is Clum, and her sister Sylvie is suffering from a disease that slowly turns her body into magistone. Having heard of this illness from Marlin, Lloyd asks to visit Clum. Yui takes him to her, and Lloyd learns that Clum and Sylvie used to adventure together until Sylvie was injured fighting against a monster in a cave rich with magistone, and by the time Clum finds her, Sylvie was already collapsed and never properly recovered. Upon examining her condition, Lloyd suspects that Sylvie was cut by magistone, allowing its mana to enter her body. This confirms what he learned from Marlin, and Lloyd confidently tells Clum that he can cure her sister. Clum is shocked, as she had already taken Sylvie to famous doctors with no success, but Yui urges her to believe in Lloyd. Lloyd then invents a new white magic spell on the spot, drawing the magistone mana out of Sylvie's body and simultaneously healing her petrified limbs. Clum is left speechless, realizing that Lloyd is easily the greatest white mage she has ever seen, and admits that what he did is something no normal mage could ever pull off. Sylvie is finally cured and wakes up, and later Clum thanks Lloyd, asking him to take care of Yui and the others. The party celebrates together, happy that Sylvie has been saved, and it's revealed that with her sister healed, Clum forms a new party with Sylvie so they can adventure together again. Surrounded by people who genuinely appreciate him, Lloyd finally feels at ease and asks Yui if he can officially join their party. Yui happily welcomes him, and Lloyd is once again surprised, this time by how enthusiastic everyone is to have him around. Seeing Lloyd eating happily, his new friends start asking about his past, and Lloyd explains that he used to live in the forest with his master, surviving mostly on mushrooms and whatever else he could find. His new companions grow curious about his teacher, so Lloyd describes Marlin as a powerful combat mage rather than a white mage like himself. When Silica shows interest in learning from Marlin, Lloyd immediately shuts that idea down, warning her that it's way too dangerous. He adds that while Marlin can be extremely strict, she does have a gentle side occasionally. The conversation then shifts to their next quest. Dagas explains that they've accepted a job to stop monsters that have been destroying nearby farms. Lloyd quickly finds this suspicious, pointing out that the monster group includes multiple species that normally wouldn't cooperate with each other. After everyone's roles are discussed, the party prepares to leave. When Lloyd starts heading in a different direction, Dagas stops him, and Lloyd admits he can't afford to stay at an inn. Dagas casually hands him some money, and says he'll just deduct it from Lloyd's share of the reward. The next day, everyone gathers to depart, and Yui is shocked to see that no one is carrying any equipment. It turns out Lloyd has stored all of their heavy gear inside his dimensional storage. He even mentions that he can teach them how to use storage magic themselves, and with that, the party sets off on their mission. During the journey, Dagas points out the border of the Megocracy, the nation of demons, which has a long history of trying to conquer the entire continent. Later, the party sets up camp. After preparing the campsite, Yui and Silica decide to take a bath, while Lloyd goes off to collect firewood. Along the way, Lloyd notices some familiar-looking fruits, but suddenly hears Yui and Silica screaming. He rushes back to find them being attacked by a basilisk while bathing. Lloyd quickly distracts the monster, hands Yui and Silica their weapons, and casts enhancement magic on them. With the buffs in place, they defeat the basilisk far more easily than usual. Unfortunately for Lloyd, Yui's towel slips right after, and he's punished instantly for seeing something he definitely didn't plan to see. Later on, Lloyd teaches everyone how to use dimensional storage, though he blames their slow progress on himself being a bad teacher. Unlike Lloyd, they can only use the magic by chanting its name, not silently like he does. That night, Yui thanks Lloyd and apologizes, feeling that she forced him into joining the party. She then admits that her own village was destroyed by monsters, which is why she feels a strong need to protect innocent people whenever monsters threaten them. Just then, Lloyd senses something off. The party notices spider monsters moving through the area and decides to retreat quietly. Unfortunately, Yui makes a small mistake, and the monsters spot them, quickly surrounding the group. Lloyd announces that he has a plan and uses his support magic to back everyone up. Working together, they manage to defeat the monsters that attack them. After the fight, Lloyd feels embarrassed for giving orders during the battle, especially since Yui is the leader, but he's surprised when everyone praises him instead. The next day, as they prepare to move on, Lloyd can't help but wonder where all those spider monsters were heading in the first place. During the night watch, Yui tells Lloyd to get some rest, but he calmly says he's fine and insists that she go to sleep instead. The next day, a worried Yui asks if he needs any help with scouting, only for Lloyd to brush it off again and say he's fine. This starts to concern the rest of the party, as they notice Lloyd is constantly pushing himself without relying on anyone else, including standing guard all night without any sleep. They can't understand why there's such a massive gap between his incredible abilities and his extremely low opinion of himself. Silica tells Yui to give Lloyd some time, believing that he'll eventually open up and tell them everything. Later, Dagas and Cross approach Lloyd, and Dagas takes him for a walk. Daggers shows Lloyd the alarm he set up to detect monsters and gently asks him to rest a little. When Lloyd refuses yet again, Daggers finally asks why Lloyd can't trust them to help him. He reminds Lloyd that they're a party and that relying on others is part of that. Lloyd admits that it simply never occurred to him to do so, which leaves Daggers genuinely curious about what Lloyd's past must have been like. The next day, Lloyd finally asks Yui to help him to fetch water, and she gladly agrees. Meanwhile, it's revealed that the monster's strange behavior is being orchestrated by a man named Lord Michel, who is deliberately luring adventurers away from Ishtar City in preparation for an attack. His plan leaves only the hero's party and low-level adventurers behind in the city, making it dangerously vulnerable. During scouting later that day, Lloyd detects monsters from 2.5 kilometers away, completely surprising Yui. The monsters are gathering at the same direction the party is heading, and when they arrive, they find hundreds of high wolves swarming a single farm. What makes it even stranger is that this is the only affected location, as every other monster in the surrounding area has completely disappeared. With only high wolves in sight, the party begins to wonder where all the other high-level monsters have gone. Cross then spots a large black magistone, and Lloyd uses enhanced vision to confirm it and share the view with the others. The stone is filled with beastfolk mana, belonging to a race known for controlling animals through magic. Lloyd asks Cross if he can destroy the stone, and despite more than 1,000 monsters surrounding it, Cross fires an arrow enhanced by Lloyd's magic and shatters the magistone. Once freed from its influence, the monsters immediately go berserk. At that moment, Lloyd senses another massive horde approaching from the opposite side. Retreating is suggested, but Yui refuses to abandon the farm, and with no better option, they prepare to fight. Lloyd quickly comes up with a plan and tells everyone to get ready. With Lloyd's support magic, Silica cuts down large numbers of monsters while also helping Cross locate targets. Lloyd even shares his own mana with Silica, allowing them to wipe out most of the horde before both of them run completely out of mana. Yui and Daggers then step in to finish off the remaining monsters. After the battle, Lloyd realizes that the monster rampages were clearly planned by someone and suspects that Ishtar City may be the real target. He urgently insists that the party return to Ishtar as quickly as possible, sensing that something far worse is about to happen. Earlier, elsewhere, a man kidnapped a beast girl, and her is unable to save her. In the present, after taking some time to rest and downing a few potions, Lloyd and the others recover their strength. Lloyd then casually casts a spell to boost everyone's running speed, which immediately surprises the entire party. Meanwhile, Lord Michel meets with his accomplice, the great General Grist. Grist is confident that Ishtar will fall easily, thanks to the power of a kidnapped young woman. They've already set up magic stones at multiple locations, and it becomes clear that Michel is using a special magic device to extract and store a woman's magical power. As they continue traveling, Lloyd's friends ask how he can maintain the speed-enhancing spell for such a long time without issue. Lloyd explains that Marlin once dumped him in monster territory and forced him to use magic non-stop until he could maintain spells almost indefinitely. The party is horrified and explains that this kind of training is completely abnormal. Lloyd, however, misunderstands and assumes their training must have been even harsher, deciding that he needs to train harder to catch up to them. They resume their journey toward Ishtar, but Lloyd suddenly stops after sensing something strange deep in the forest. He tells the others to go on ahead while he checks it out alone. Yui and the others immediately refuse, pointing out that Lloyd can't fight and insisting on coming with him. Soon, they find a house that Lloyd suspects is hiding demons, but it turns out to be empty. Lloyd then senses demons beneath the house, in an underground structure using the same monster control magic they saw at the farm. Silica uses earth magic to collapse the ceiling, crushing the demons below. The party finishes off the survivors, but one demon manages to escape, wrapping the kidnapped girl in a cocoon and fleeing. He doesn't get far, as Yui and the others quickly capture him. With the demons defeated, they rescue the kidnapped woman. Lloyd then uses a modified healing spell on her, impressing Silica, who notes that such techniques are extremely rare. Lloyd casually says it's easy for him since he spent so much time helping Marlin with her magic experiments. The woman soon wakes up and introduces herself as Kureha, a beast folk capable of controlling monsters. She explains that the demons have been stealing her magic and storing it in magistones to lure and control monsters wherever they want. Daggers confirms that this must be the Megocracy's latest attempt to invade. Along with the woman, they leave for Ishtar, and as the group draws closer to Ishtar, Lloyd senses a massive number of monsters and a demon army heading straight for the city. That's when Lloyd comes up with a sudden idea. He sends his friends ahead to warn Ishtar while he takes Kureha in a different direction, planning to stir up some chaos of his own. In Ishtar, Alan is having a full meltdown because he can't find a replacement for Lloyd. His party members cautiously suggest that Lloyd might have been more important than he realized, but Alan outright refuses to accept that idea. Just then, a knight rushes in and reports the approaching monster army, and asks his assistance. Alan immediately agrees to fight, seeing it as the perfect chance to impress the king and reclaim his spotlight. Elsewhere, Lloyd and Kureha spot multiple groups of monsters, with even more heading straight toward Ishtar. Lloyd wants to deal with them before they reach the city, but Kureha refuses to let him kill them, explaining that the monsters are being controlled by demons. Instead, Lloyd suggests she use her power to drive them away. As Lloyd supports her with magic, Kureha tries to control the monsters, but her power is suddenly disrupted. Back at the Adventurers Guild, only low-rank adventurers are available to defend the city. Alan demands that they repeatedly cast magic to support him, but they admit they can't handle that kind of strain. Alan mocks them, but his own party mage and the others are clearly lacking confidence as well. They admit this started happening after Lloyd left the party. In front of everyone, Alan is publicly humiliated when his own teammates confess that they are weaker without Lloyd, including Alan himself, even if he was too arrogant to notice it. Enraged, Alan attacks his swordswoman, Lena, but she easily blocks him, exposing just how weak he's become. Alan panics and flees with the rest of his party, except for Lena, who stays behind to defend Ishtar. She announces her decision to leave the hero's party and asks if anyone knows Lloyd's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Lloyd and Kureha discover magistones scattered among the monsters. Lloyd casts enhancement and invisibility magic on both of them, and they begin quietly neutralizing the magistones one by one. It becomes clear that adventurers from all over are gathering to defend the city. Earlier, Lena explained to everyone that Alan would never have become the hero without Lloyd's support magic. She reveals how Alan became blinded by fame, grew arrogant, and kicked Lloyd out without realizing what he'd done. The guild master then adds that Lloyd is currently traveling with an S-rank party. Trusting Lena's words that Lloyd will return, the adventurers rally together to defend Ishtar. When the monster horde finally attacks, the adventurers, led by Lena, fight bravely, desperately trying to hold the line until reinforcements arrive. Yui and the others are also racing toward Ishtar. As the monsters begin breaking through the city's defenses, Yui's party finally shows up to help turn the tide. At the same time, while neutralizing the magistones, the stone accidentally breaks as the monsters begin fighting among themselves. Kureha's invisibility spell wears off, drawing the monsters' attention. Lloyd deliberately pulls the monsters toward himself, and Kureha realizes that he still isn't attacking them at all. With the magistones fully neutralized, Kureha uses her power to send the monsters away. Dagas, Cross, Yui, and Silica reach Ishtar and join the exhausted adventurers, but the sheer number of monsters is overwhelming. Lena is injured while protecting a soldier, and the defenders begin to lose ground. Just when things look grim, Lloyd and Kureha finally arrive. With Lloyd's enhancement magic boosting her power, Kureha unleashes her ability and sends the entire monster army away in one massive wave. Lloyd is amazed by her strength, and Kureha thanks him for supporting her. She then admits that her real name is Claire. Lloyd decides to postpone asking why she hid her name, because before anyone can relax, a new threat appears as stone golems are sent in to attack Ishtar instead. Michelle soon learns that the monster horde has fled. Claire tries to use her power to send the stone golems away as well, but this time it doesn't work, as the golems have been enhanced by demonic magic and completely ignore her control. With no other choice, Lloyd and Claire rush back to Ishtar to join the others in defending the city. Upon arriving, Lloyd asks the guild master to look after Claire and learns from Lena that Alan refused to fight and abandoned the defense. Lloyd heals the wound on Lena's arm, but the non-stop use of magic finally starts catching up to him, leaving him visibly weakened. The golems begin breaking through the city's defenses, and normal adventurers are completely powerless against them. Even so, Lloyd pushes himself past his limits and casts enhancement magic over the entire defending force. Yui announces that Lloyd has buffed everyone, and the adventurers can physically feel the difference as they finally gain the power to fight back. One by one, the golems are destroyed, but when only a single one remains, Lloyd's magic wears off. As the final golem advances toward the city, Dagas jumps in to save Yui, and with Lloyd's last bit of strength, he enhances Yui's sword. Using that final boost, Yui destroys the remaining golem, and Lloyd immediately collapses from total exhaustion. It's hinted that Merlin's former party has been watching over Lloyd from afar the entire time. Meanwhile, Grist arrives looking for Michelle, only to discover that Michelle has escaped. Furious, Grist swears to kill whoever ruined their plans. Lloyd remains unconscious for an entire day, and when he finally wakes up, he still blames his own weakness. He refuses to accept the citizens' gratitude and quietly tries to slip away. Soon after, Merlin's friend meets up with her, along with the rest of her former party. He explains that Lloyd was kicked out of the hero's party and has since joined an S-rank team. When questioned about Lloyd, Merlin learns everything that happened and begins to deeply regret sealing away his self-confidence. She admits she doesn't want to repeat the mistakes she made in the past. Lloyd's friends eventually force him to face the people of Ishtar, who publicly declare him the new hero of the city. Meanwhile, Alan decides to leave Ishtar with what remains of his party, though even his own teammates are starting to doubt him. Elsewhere, Marlin and her former companions discuss whether these events could be signs of the Demon Lord's return, despite the fact that they defeated him decades ago at the cost of their friend Sybil's life. Later, Ishtar's Lord Abel summons Lloyd and his companions. They're surprised to find that Abel looks incredibly young, and Lloyd casually mentions that his master also looks young despite her age, suspecting some kind of magic is involved. Things take a serious turn when Abel reveals that Claire is actually the princess of the Forez Empire, the homeland of the Beast Folk. Around the same time, elsewhere, a guard informs Claire's friend that her location has been discovered. Abel asks Lloyd and others what they think about Claire's magic. Lloyd says it's impressive but is also dangerous at the same time, because it's critical that demons never capture her again. Abel asks Lloyd to secretly escort Claire to the human capital, Sylphus, where her family can safely retrieve her. Before leaving, Claire asks everyone to treat her like a normal girl and to call her by her real name, marking the start of yet another journey for Lloyd and his party. During the journey, Yui suddenly brings up the idea of visiting a hot spring and invites Claire along too. Claire admits she has never been to one before, which immediately seals the deal. After 10 days of travel, the group finally reaches a hot spring village and decides to rest there. Yui takes Claire to the hot springs together with Silica, giving Claire her very first hot spring experience. Afterward, Lloyd becomes concerned that the closer they get to Sylphus, the higher the chance demons will discover Claire's location. Because of that, he decides they should stay in the village for a few days so he can make the necessary preparations. Everyone agrees with his cautious plan. The next day, while looking for a new shield, Dagas runs into Yui and Claire casually mentions that she stopped a weapon shop earlier. Dagas then visits a weapon shop in search of a new shield, where the shop owner initially mistakes him for someone else. Dagas soon notices that a group of thugs, led by an A-rank adventurer named Galland, has been harassing the owner, trying to force him to sell a specific weapon. When the owner refuses, a fight breaks out, and Dagas easily throws them out of the shop, revealing that he is an S-rank adventurer. Back at the inn, Yui and Claire return to find Lloyd practicing on his own. Lloyd explains that he's working on improving his support magic. When Yui asks why he doesn't learn offensive magic, Lloyd says he could, but it would never be as effective as Silica's. At the same time, Silica, frustrated by how much she relied on Lloyd during the battle at Ishtar, trains relentlessly, practicing her flame magic day and night to improve herself. Yui explains that Silica has been a genius since childhood, but her greatest strength is that she never gives up until she succeeds. After failing countless times, Silica finally masters an advanced spell, but immediately loses her balance afterward. Dagas later comes across Silica training in the forest, and tells her about the shield from the shop. The shop owner possesses the Great Shield Aegis, forged by the legendary blacksmith Lioness. Due to its massive weight, only an S-rank warrior with incredible strength could even wield it, which is why the owner refused to sell it to Galen. Instead, he offered to give it to Dagas for free if he could discover the cause of the strange explosions in the forest that had been frightening people. Silica soon realizes that her magic explosions were powerful enough to evaporate an entire lake, explaining the mystery. Later, she apologizes to the shop owner for causing the explosions, and true to his word, he gives the great shield to Dagas for free. Afterward, they share the news with the rest of the group, and everyone congratulates Dagas on getting a new shield and Silica on mastering her new magic. After Silica and Dagas both achieve clear results from their training, Cross starts worrying about what he can improve. He's already bought a new weapon and doesn't have much time to train properly. While wandering around, he runs into a young archer named Lynn, who impulsively asks Cross to form a party after finding out he's an adventurer. Cross asks why Lynn isn't already in a party, and learns that he's stuck at E-rank because no one wants to take him in. Lynn is frustrated with being looked down on, so to make him feel better, Cross casually claims that he's also E-rank. Elsewhere in the city, Yui is out looking for new sweets when she witnesses a noble from the Windy family threatening to execute a young boy just for getting mud on her dress. Yui immediately steps in. At the same time, Cross takes Lin out to exterminate slimes and quickly realizes that Lin might be the worst archer he has ever seen. Things escalate back in the city as Yui starts beating up the noble's guards, but a mage hidden in the crowd uses magic to restrain her. Before things get worse, a powerful woman suddenly appears, knocking the guards unconscious with ease and shocking Yui and everyone watching. The noble woman promptly faints out of fear. The mysterious woman introduces herself as Lilith. Curious, Yui asks how she became so strong. Lilith instead asks why Yui wants to get stronger in the first place, and Yui admits that she keeps relying on one of her teammates, Lloyd. Lilith, who already knows Lloyd, offers to train Yui. Meanwhile, back at the inn, Silica and the others find Lloyd completely buried in his magic research. Worried about him overworking himself, Claire offers to take Lloyd out for a walk. While relaxing, Claire says she wants to help Lloyd with his research, and Lloyd asks her about monster control, believing it to be a form of ancient magic. Cross continues training Lin and teaches him how to properly shoot a bow. Before long, Lin actually starts hitting his targets, shocking even himself. At the same time, Lilith trains Yui by teaching her how to control blades made of mana for long-range attacks. Claire explains to Lloyd that ancient magic is taboo because it kills anyone who tries to use it unless they were born compatible with it. She adds that compatible users are born only once every 100 years, and the last person who used ancient magic lost his life in the process. After Lin Comblight and Slime Hunt, a monster suddenly shows up and tries to steal Lin's slimes, and Cross reacts by inventing a new technique that lets him fire arrows much faster than before, killing the monster instantly. Lin surprises everyone at the guild with his improvement, and starts gaining real confidence. Cross finally reveals that he's actually an S-rank adventurer, completely blowing Lin's mind. Meanwhile, Yui continues struggling with her new spell. Lilith asks why she's so desperate to grow stronger, and Yui admits that when she reached S-rank, she became arrogant. After meeting Lloyd, she realized there would always be someone stronger out there. Just then, a monster attacks, and Yui instinctively uses her new spell to save Lilith, proving her growth. The next day, with everyone noticeably stronger, the group resumes their journey towards Sylphus. Lloyd, however, feels like he hasn't achieved anything meaningful, despite improving and refining his support magic even further. Elsewhere, Lilith, whose real name is Lily, returns to Marlin and tells her everything that happened. Marlin can't help but feel jealous that Lily got to see Lloyd while she couldn't. Marlin arrives at the capital. Meanwhile, Gris reports Ishtar's survival to his master. His master is furious, and orders him to find Claire immediately, threatening to strip him of his title if he fails. After leaving, Gris runs into Michelle, who complains that he never received his payment. To make up for it, Michelle reveals Claire's location, giving Gris exactly what he needs. Meanwhile, during the journey, Lloyd continues feeling inferior compared to everyone else. Seeing this, his friends try to reassure him, telling him that everyone in the party has grown stronger because of him. They admit that meeting Lloyd made them realize their own limits and push past them. Lloyd promises to try believing in himself, but deep down, he still can't shake the feeling that he isn't actually that strong. At the capital, Marlin uses her magic to infiltrate a castle and break through an illusion so she can meet her former party member, Lloyd, in the Empire. From her, she learns that the magocracy is now ruled by the Demon Lord's son. Marlin hands over half of the grimoire Lloyd once touched, asking Lloyd to check whether it still has the power to seal a Demon Lord. Back on the road, Lloyd's group runs into a strange demonic mist that interferes with all magic. With no time to waste, they rush toward Schwert's village. Lloyd later confirms that the grimoire still carries traces of Sybil's magic, and if Lloyd was able to resonate with it, then he truly has the potential of a chosen one. This realization hits Marlin hard, as she begins to regret her past actions. She admits that while she may have been an excellent teacher, she was a terrible mother figure, failing to prepare Lloyd for real life. Because of that, Lloyd ran away, and she now deeply misses him. Silica uses her magic to clear the mist, only for the group to realize it was guiding them straight into a trap set by Grist. The party prepares for battle, and with Lloyd's support, they easily defeat the surrounding soldiers. However, none of their attack seems to work on Grist himself. Lloyd quickly realizes that Grist is protected by powerful magic armor, and more soldiers soon arrive to back him up. Just when things look grim, Grist and his men suddenly freeze solid. The group is saved by Ion, the ice hero, and Claire's childhood friend. At the same time, Merlin's companion confronts Michelle to stop him from causing further chaos. Ion immediately proves difficult to deal with, acting rudely and only listening to Claire. Grist soon breaks free from the ice and resumes the fight, clashing directly with Ion. When Yui and the others try to help, Ion flat-out refuses their assistance. Michelle, realizing who Merlin's ally really is, decides to flee once again. Before Grist launches another attack, Lloyd urgently tells everyone to get to safety. As Grist and Ion clashes, a massive explosion happens, and when Lloyd checks the aftermath, he finds that only Ion and Claire are missing. Moments later, the truth becomes clear. In the chaos, Grist managed to kidnap Claire once again. Grist escapes using his airship before anyone can stop him. Ion crawls out from the rubble and immediately chases after Grist, but he fails to catch up and ends up needing Silica to save him. Still fired up, Ion insists on pursuing Grist as fast as possible, only to be completely scolded by everyone for his reckless temper, arrogance, and complete lack of a plan. After getting thoroughly shut down, Ion finally agrees to listen to Lloyd and follow his lead. Aboard the airship, Michelle complains about being forced to put it in danger, as it's powered by a very valuable fragment of the previous Demon Lord's body. The fragment was lost during the final battle long ago, and Michelle managed to acquire it. After analyzing it, he turned it into a powerful energy source for the ship. He openly admits that his goal is to control monsters while making a profit on the side, because apparently villainy is also a business plan. Suddenly, an alarm rings throughout the ship. Using Therian's ice magic and a reverse gravity spell that Lloyd invents on the spot, Lloyd and the others reach the airship and board it. Grist immediately attacks them, but this time the group works together instead of rushing in blindly. Grist grows confident when their attacks still don't seem to affect him, but that confidence shatters when the ion freezes and then completely destroys Grist's left arm. It's revealed that Lloyd figured out the secret behind Grist's seemingly invincible magic barrier. The barrier only activates against attacks Grist can sense in advance. To counter this, Lloyd created a new passive attack spell for the ion that freezes the air itself, super chilling Grist's arm without using direct ice. Lloyd explains that he noticed this weakness during his very first fight with the ion. Panicking, Grist retreats inside the ship and releases all the monsters Michelle had captured. The monsters immediately turn hostile, attacking Grist himself while Michelle desperately tries to regain control. During the chaos, the ion rescues Claire and prepares to kill the monsters, but Claire stops him and uses her power to calm them instead. Due to a strange resonance, her voice destabilizes the Demon Lord fragment powering the ship. Grist comes under influences of Demon Lord's fragment. As Grist demands for more power, Michelle throws the fragment at him. The then fragment absorbs Grist and the surrounding monsters, merging them into a massive demonic chimera. Michelle is briefly thrilled by the research potential of such a creature, right up until it kills him instantly. Elsewhere, Marlin and Lloyd reunite with their companion Will, who brings news that Lloyd is fighting both Grist and Michelle. With the Demon Lord fragment destroyed, the airship loses its power and begins to fall from the sky. To make matters worse, the newly formed chimera blocks the only exit, leaving everyone trapped as the airship plummets. Marlin teleports nearby with Will and quickly locates Lloyd aboard the falling airship. Using gravity magic, Lloyd forces the chimera away long enough for everyone to escape. They jump from the ship and with Therian's ice magic creating footholds in midair and Lloyd assisting her, Silica safely guides the group down to the ground. Moments later, the airship crashes, but the chimera survives and grows even stronger. Marlin and Will spots Lloyd and the others and teleport nearby hiding. While observing the chimera, Lloyd realizes something crucial. The Demon Lord fragment is searching for a vessel, which means it is targeting Claire. The ion immediately suggests killing the chimera, but Claire once again refuses. Lloyd proposes another plan. He asks Claire to sing to the fragment, believing her power can separate the chimera back into its original monsters. He explains that he will amplify her magic and transmit it directly through the chimera itself. Before they can begin, Marlin reveals herself, firmly refusing to let Lloyd tamper with ancient magic. Lloyd responds calmly, saying that thanks to his friends, he finally understands the limits of his own abilities. Marlin warns him not to be overconfident, but Lloyd insists he isn't. Meeting everyone has simply helped him realize that this is something he can do. Though still afraid, Marlin decides to trust him. Claire begins to sing, and Lloyd amplifies her power with his magic. The resonance works, and the chimera finally breaks apart, separating back into individual monsters. However, the ancient magic reacts violently. A portal opens and pulls Lloyd inside, along with Grist. Inside the strange space, Grist's body disintegrates. Confused and frightened, Lloyd hears a familiar voice. It is Sybil, speaking through the half of the grimoire Marlin possesses. Sybil explains that the ancient people once wielded magic capable of rewriting reality, but it only brought chaos. To prevent disaster, they sealed it away, granting it only to a chosen few each generation and cursing anyone else who attempted to use it. Lloyd realizes this is what happened to Sybil. Sybil admits that during the final battle with the Demon Lord, they made a single mistake that resulted in Marlin and their entire party being killed. Desperate, he used ancient magic to resurrect them, at the cost of his own life. Sybil urges Lloyd to leave the portal before it closes. With Sybil's guidance and strengthened by his friend's faith in him, Lloyd escapes the collapsing space and returns safely. Everyone is overwhelmed with relief when he reappears. Later, the group is stunned to learn that Marlin is Lloyd's master. They finally understand that Lloyd's lack of confidence came from constantly struggling to surpass Marlin, the greatest living sage. The king summons the party and rewards them with a mansion in the capital for their deeds. Lloyd arrives soon after and comments that Lloyd's magical scent is very similar to Marlin's, though Lloyd mistakes her for a child. Marlin clarifies that Lloyd is an old friend, shocking Lloyd's companions as they realize they are meeting legendary members of Marlin's former party. Marlin asks Lloyd what he plans to do next and whether he intends to return with her. Lloyd replies that he wants to learn magic beyond support spells so he can better protect and aid his party on future adventures. Marlin thanks Will for helping Lloyd and notes that they may need Lloyd's power again in the future. At last, Lloyd's party arrives at the mansion gifted by the king. Reflecting on everything they've endured since meeting Lloyd, they agree they've been through a lot and excitedly look forward to their next adventure together.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this. If you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Until next time, take care.